What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Islam Makhachev questions Charles Oliveira's self-belief. Former UFC lightweight champion Charles Oliveira may have one of the longest active winning streaks in the UFC, but Islam Makhachev isn't sold on Do Bronx's self-belief. With the two scheduled to meet inside the cage in Abu Dhabi in October, anticipation for the blockbuster lightweight showdown is continuing to build. Recently, Oliveira spoke in an interview regarding the fight, where he explained that although Makhachev is a dangerous opponent, he is confident that he will knock out Makhachev in the first round. While Oliveira's self-confidence seems to be at an all-time high, Makhachev doesn't believe that the former champ is as confident as he seems to be.
I don't think, because when he beat Chen, he never say my name. He say Poirier, Dustin, but he never say my name. Nate Diaz, he call Nate Diaz, he call Conor many times, but he never say my name.
Makhachev has notably stated many times that he struggles to get fights booked because opponents simply don't want to face him inside the octagon. Despite a lack of top-ranked names on his resume, Makhachev has managed to amass a 10-fight winning streak spanning back to 2016. To date, the sole loss in Makhachev's otherwise perfect 23-fight career came in 2015 at the hands of Adriano Martins, who knocked out the Nurmagomedov protege in the first round of their UFC 192 scrap. Do you agree with Makhachev that Charles Oliveira isn't as confident as he seems to be? Give us your thoughts and your predictions for the fights in the comment section below. Brendan Schaub calls for Leon Edwards to defend title against Jorge Masvidal. After Leon Edwards defeated Kamaru Usman in the main event of UFC 278, the newly crowned champion immediately had a number of willing opponents begin to call him out for title fights, including none other than Jorge Masvidal. While Masvidal's call-out was laughed off by many, including UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier, who told the BMF that he should snap his 3-fight losing streak before getting a title shot, former heavyweight Brendan Schaub believes that Edwards and Masvidal still have beef to settle.
If I'm Leon Edwards, that's the fight I go for.
It's the biggest fight.
I would be going for A, it's the biggest fight. B, listen, not an easy fight by any means, but it's easier than Kamaru. There's a reason Kamaru's such a big favorite in the rematch. History would suggest that Kamaru should have won that second fight. So you would assume in the rubber match, if Kamaru does come in focus, it's going to be very similar. Leon Edwards' team knows that.
Edwards and Masvidal have a storied history. In 2019, when both men were fighting different opponents on the UFC Fight Night London card, they were involved in a backstage scuffle during which Masvidal infamously delivered his 3-piece and a soda combination. Following the altercation, the pair were even booked to fight at UFC 269, however, an injury forced Masvidal off the card, causing the bout to fall through. With the UFC seemingly content to let Edwards and Usman fight once more to settle their trilogy, Masvidal will likely have to go on a winning streak before he gets the chance to settle his beef with Edwards and potentially capture UFC gold. Although Masvidal doesn't have a fight scheduled at the present time, UFC President Dana White indicated that the promotion was interested in potentially booking a fight between Masvidal and fellow top-ranked welterweight Gilbert Burns. Who do you want to see Masvidal square off against inside the octagon? Play matchmaker and sound off in the comment section below. Next up, Darren Till arrested in July on DUI charges while in Stockholm. News broke this week that top-ranked UFC prospect Darren Till was arrested last month in Stockholm on DUI charges, just 1 week after he was scheduled to fight Jack Hermansson in the co-main event of UFC Fight Night London. According to the reports out of Sweden, Till was pulled over for exceeding speed limits near Stockholm when it was discovered that the middleweight contender was intoxicated. Despite Till initially denying that he had been driving, placing blame on a female passenger that he was traveling with, he later admitted to driving and having several drinks earlier. Upon undergoing a breathalyzer test, it was discovered that Till was 3 times over the legal limit. The arrest marks the latest in a string of setbacks for Till, who was unable to return to the octagon since his 3rd round submission loss to Derek Brunson last year. Since then, Till has been unable to make the walk to the cage as he recently suffered an undisclosed injury that forced him out of his scheduled fight with Hermansson as stated previously. Recently, however, Till informed fans that he was looking to fight twice before the end of the year, giving fans hope that he would return sooner rather than later. With no word on who Till will fight when he returns to the octagon, we want to hear from you. Who should the former welterweight title challenger face at middleweight when he returns? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below, and before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. The Leech isn't counting Nate Diaz out of the Chimaev fight. Although on paper Nate Diaz is an overwhelming underdog going into his UFC 279 main event showdown with Khamzat Chimaev, many have continued to point out that the Stockton superstar isn't one who should ever be counted out inside the octagon. Li Jingliang is one of those people. The Leech spoke during a recent interview ahead of his showdown with Tony Ferguson on the same card to discuss the matchup, explaining how although statistics point to Chimaev being an overwhelming favorite, Nate Diaz will always be the X factor in any equation.
You don't know what happens if the fight goes to the 5th round or the last minutes, last seconds if you fight against Nate Diaz. What we really need is a miracle. It's a surprise in the fight. And I believe Nate Diaz is the guy who can give you this.
Diaz is of course no stranger to being the underdog. Time and time again, he has found himself as the underdog going into fights, most notably against Conor McGregor at UFC 196, where he secured arguably the biggest win of his career on short notice. Just last year, Diaz once again found himself as an overwhelming underdog when he stepped into the octagon against Leon Edwards. Despite being down in the fight, with the seconds winding down in the 5th round, Diaz landed a huge left hand that wobbled Edwards, nearly finishing the fight. Although he ultimately lost the decision, the flash of brilliance in the closing seconds of the fight earned him considerable praise, especially after Edwards' recent win over Kamaru Usman. Do you believe Diaz will once again be able to create magic and pick up another huge win when he steps into the octagon against Khamzat Chimaev? Give us your predictions for the fight below. And now for our breaking news story of the day, we have the UFC announcing a big money deal by renewing their contract with Venom. No numbers have been announced as of yet, but it is a huge deal for the UFC, but not for the fighters. What do you think about this move? Let us know in the comment section below. Last up, Anderson Silva reportedly set to box Jake Paul in October. Former UFC middleweight kingpin Anderson Silva will look to continue his successful run in boxing later this year when he steps into the ring against polarizing internet personality Jake Paul. Reports emerged earlier this week that a bout between Silva and Paul was reportedly in the works and would be announced soon, with further details revealing that the scheduled date of the bout is reportedly October 29th. This news comes on the heels of Paul's recent match with Hasim Rahman Jr. being cancelled under mysterious circumstances last month. That bout came together as a result of a scheduled bout with Tommy Fury being called off when the younger Fury brother found himself unable to get a visa to enter the United States. Since then, Paul's team has continued to tease news regarding his next opponent, while claiming that when the bout is announced, he will almost certainly be the betting underdog. For Silva, there seems to be little upside in the bout. After a 3-fight skid saw him leave the UFC in 2020, the Spider found success in boxing, earning himself a split decision win over former WBC champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. The win garnered Silva widespread praise given Chavez Jr.'s accomplishments in the sport and set the former champ up for a boxing match with fellow former UFC champion Tito Ortiz. The fight was a dominant display from Silva, who knocked Ortiz out in the 8th round to extend his professional boxing record to 3-1. If the reports are true and Silva will be returning to the ring in October to box Paul, how do you see things going? Give us your predictions for the bout down below. Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in the MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to see more videos just like this. See you next time.